Hello, and thanks for tuning in to KPC News. I'm James Buckley.
And I'm Hannah Thurman. Our top stories tonight include the firing of Rex Tillerson and the update on school walkouts from this morning. But first, a recent merger between two powerhouse chip manufacturers was recently blocked by President Trump.
Yeah, according to Politico on Monday, President Trump surprised everyone after he blocked a merger between U.S. chip manufacturer Qualcomm and their Asian competitor Broadcom. The deal was reportedly worth $117 billion, which would have been the largest tech merger in history. President Trump blocked the merger, citing national security and economic worries with China, while also utilizing the block to further his America First initiative.
In national news, the New York Times reported that there is no official result in the Pennsylvania House election between Democrat Conor Lamb and Republican Rick Scone. But Lamb announced at 12:45 Wednesday morning that he had won. All the votes have been counted except for one county's absentee votes. Lamb currently has a 641-vote lead on Scone. House Republicans and Pennsylvania Republicans could push for a recount in legal battle. However, there is no automatic recount in the state of Pennsylvania, no matter how close the vote is. Lamb is a first-time candidate and a former Marine prosecutor and assistant United States attorney.
On Tuesday, the Washington Post reported that Secretary of State Rex Tillerson was outed by President Trump. Tillerson said he did not know the reason for his firing, but the Post speculated that Trump and Tillerson's relationship became rocky in recent months, along with foreign policy disagreements, which led to Trump firing Tillerson. Trump seemed to enforce that speculation when he said in a press conference, quote, "I actually got along well with Rex, but really it was a different mindset, a different thinking. When you look at the Iran deal, I think it's terrible. I guess he thought it was okay, so we were not really thinking the same." Tillerson will stay Secretary of State until March 31st, though.
Following Rex Tillerson's removal as Secretary of State, CIA Director and former Kansas Representative Mike Pompeo stepped in. This left the Deputy Director, Gina Haspel, to head the CIA. Her position will be voted on in the Senate soon to confirm her. USA Today reported that there has been scrutiny on whether Haspel should direct the CIA due to CIA interrogations in 2002 at a secret prison in Thailand. There was reportedly torture methods, including waterboarding and sleep deprivation at this prison that Haspel was in charge of. Once promoted at the CIA headquarters, Haspel tried to destroy proof that the crimes and torture at the prison were committed. Haspel will be the first woman to be director of the CIA if she is confirmed.
Now, earlier today, in response to the Stoneman Douglas shooting last month, students across the nation walked out of class today for 17 minutes, 1 minute for each victim of the shooting. Walkouts, along with lay-ins and protests, occurred in schools from New York, California, Washington, D.C., and other cities in the U.S. The main purpose for the student walkouts was to be in solidarity with the students and survivors of Stoneman Douglas, as well as a call to action on Congress to pass more gun control legislation. Those messages were echoed when a survivor of the shooting, Lauren Hogg, tweeted, quote, "Remember why we are walking out. We are walking out for my friends that passed, all children that have been taken because of gun violence. We are walking out for the empty desks in my classes and the unsaid goodbyes. The epidemic of school shootings must stop." ABC News did report that while most schools were supportive of the movement, some schools threatened to discipline students, but only for missing class and not for the meaning behind the protests.
Shortly after the walkouts, the NRA released a message for those students. On its Twitter account is a picture of an AR-style rifle with the message, "I'll control my own guns, thank you." The organization also posted a video from Chris Cox, who is the executive director of the lobbying arm of the NRA. In the video, Cox says that gun control activists are blaming good, honest people for the acts of murderers. The NRA has sued the state of Florida in response to Governor Rick Scott signing a gun control bill into law that would raise the age to purchase a gun from 18 to 21.
In a new development on immigration, President Trump made his first visit to California as president on Tuesday. The Los Angeles Times reported that Trump was there to see prototypes of the border wall he is trying to build, then met with troops at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar, and rounded the trip out with a fundraiser dinner. While the trip became overshadowed by other news and protesters, Trump left California with a final statement about the wall saying, quote, "It will save thousands and thousands of lives, save taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars by reducing crime, drug flow, welfare fraud, and burdens on schools and hospitals. The wall will save hundreds of billions of dollars, many, many times what it's going to cost." The LA Times did report, however, that this statement was in contrast to multiple studies on the effects of building a border wall.
Finally, in local news, the Lawrence Journal-World reported that on Tuesday, Kansas lawmakers discussed the issue of legalizing sports betting in the state. A House committee heard the Kansas Sports Wagering Act on Tuesday. This bill would allow the Kansas Lottery to conduct sports betting at the 4 state-owned casinos and allow betting through online platforms. Representative John Barker, who is the chairman of the House Federal and State Affairs Committee, mentioned that there are several $billions being bet on March Madness in the United States. If this bill were to become law in the state of Kansas, it wouldn't take full effect unless the Supreme Court rules that all states are allowed to take part in sports betting. This is a decision that is expected later in the year, but get your bookies lined up just in case. Well, that's the political news for the week. Thank you for watching KPC News. I'm Hannah Thurman.
And I'm James Buckley. Tune in tomorrow for an exclusive interview where Carson spoke with Rebecca Hashke talking about the Jayhawks for Life Justice for All event regarding anti-abortion here on campus.